There is big news in the world of GTA Online. The most impactful news in the history of mankind. I ended up seeing this first on Reddit, but this post is better. From text to Rockstar Games now restricts Australian players from gambling in the casino in GTA Online. And you can see here the code. Gambling restricted geographic. AU. No casino house. No 3-card poker. No inside track. No lucky wheel. No blackjack. No roulette. No slots. Australia becomes the 56th country that has this content disabled. I'll be real with you, only the lucky wheel am I like, that hurts. I'm sure the lucky wheel was used like 100 times more than everything else there. I wish they would just like add something where when you walk into the casino, Tom walks up to you and says, "Congratulations, here's," and they give you whatever you would want on the lucky wheel. So I wrote a long thing on Twitter to explain to people why this was likely happening and to speculate on the future. So the easiest if I just read it. Rockstar has disabled gambling in the Diamond Casino for Australians in GTA Online. This even includes the Lucky Wheel daily spin. It doesn't seem obvious why. I'd assume it was out of caution to comply with Australia's March 2026 online safety and age assurance rules that are designed to limit what content under 18s can engage with online. Among other things, they explicitly seek to prevent children from accessing simulated gambling. And the other stuff you'd imagine. Pornography, gratuitous violence. All the stuff that you, as a parent, would be like, why would I want my child to be influenced by this at such a young age? It targets under 16-year-olds, this stuff. But as I've talked about these laws before, the problem isn't, well, at least for most people, that people don't disagree that children should be kept away from this stuff. It's more that in order to identify who is under the age of 16, you have to impact literally everyone, because you must find some way to distinguish between those under 16-year-old people and those over 16. So everyone is impacted, even if you're only interested in targeting the under 16 people. Perhaps Rockstar fears they can't sufficiently verify the age of users and so have removed this content rather than potentially be in violation. However, the game is already rated R18+, restricted to adults aged 18 and over, which is required of all games containing realistic simulated gambling. It would be R18 even without that. It is possible that this removal is preemptive and they will implement an age verification system that is sufficient to give adults access again at a later date. Time will tell. I've talked about this multiple times in the Rockstar news, that there have been like leaked pages that say give certain details to verify yourself so you can play GTA Online again. To my knowledge, that hasn't actually been implemented though. It's just been in the code. Yeah, a preview of age assurance in-game. This is not active yet. And so it says here, verify age. Please verify your age to access GTA Online features. On one hand, I get why my government would be concerned. Australia has the highest gambling losses per person in the world. No joke. There are so many slot machines in this country. You have no idea. It is something people are complaining about for eons. And as a person who doesn't think gambling should be outright banned, I think slot machines should be banned. Some people say only games of skill should exist in terms of gambling. I wouldn't go that far. I like raffles and stuff. I like bingo. All that kind of stuff. But most games of chance, like there's a limit on how addictive they can be. There's a limit on how much you can manipulate them to manipulate the consumer to give more money than they can afford. With normal games of chance, you can understand your odds of winning. You can just Google it. With poker machines, it's a black box. You have no idea what your odds are of winning. Unless, of course, like there's some specific regulation that requires it to be written. And even if it is written, how do you really know if it's true? Because some slot machines will have like a return rate of 99%. Others will have a return rate of like 70%, just depending upon how they've been programmed. I have used slot machines in the past. I've even talked about the slot machine that I used to play occasionally. I put 20 bucks in when I go to the local RSL. It's like a ritual for Australians. You put in 20 bucks and I would play more chilies. And I'm like, I really like when it lights up and goes, more chilies. So dumb, incredibly dumb. But I've never gambled beyond my means. I've gambled as a way to kill a bit of time in between things. But obviously I would have been better off if I'd never done any of this. There are so many other things you can spend your money on that are cheaper and funner. That and advertising for gambling. There are so many vices in this world that while they're hard to regulate, if you just prevent them being advertised, then you hit a lot of the harm that they do. Gambling advertisements should not exist, and neither should slot machines. Everything else is debatable to what degree it should exist. Those two should be banned. The trend towards seemingly everything becoming gambling is deeply concerning. It causes enormous financial and social harm and can facilitate fraud, money laundering, and organized crime. Online gambling, particularly illegal offshore gambling, is also difficult to regulate effectively. While my government has implemented some measures to combat gambling harm, it did not adopt the central reform package recommended by its major 2023 parliamentary inquiry. Instead, it waited almost 3 years before formally responding and ultimately implemented or proposed only a limited or substantially weaker subset of the recommended reforms. Like its own inquiry. It's like it hired people specifically to recommend how to fix this problem and then ignored the recommendations. It did implement some changes, and those changes were good. Not that I'm going to get into them, around some forms of advertising and stuff, but they went nowhere near as far as voters wanted or people within the party wanted. Like there's like a sort of civil war a little bit in the federal government around why this isn't being implemented. If this restriction came from a package of actually significant gambling reform in this country, I would understand regardless of whether or not I agreed. That this instead has possibly come because of the tightening of social media for minors, it just looks silly. This is an adult game with entirely fictional money that involves running a criminal empire and violently defending it, usually with murder. I am unsure the casino is high on the list of stuff kids shouldn't see. Perhaps the whole game will soon require age verification, as has been rumored for a while for both online and GTA 6. There's also something being talked about that GTA 6 will require age verification. It's always important to remember that any form of security that exists doesn't simply keep out those you're trying to restrict. There will be some portion of people you would normally want to be let in that will be unable to come in. That's just how security works. Every form of it. No form of security is perfect. So some people will see these age verifications on GTA 6, on GTA Online and go, reasons of my own personal security, safety, my own morals, whatever, I'm not going to do this. They do fit the criteria to be allowed to play, but won't because they do not like the idea of this age verification. There are some people who this system will just break. For some reason, it won't sufficiently read the information they're giving, and the system itself will be bad, or their ID will be damaged or something, and they won't be allowed in even if they fit the criteria to be allowed in. There is always some amount of people who get caught up in this and are negatively impacted. And as well, there's people's concerns about government overreach and to what degree the government should be saying what people can and cannot do. And we all have positions on that. There are some people who make an argument that it is never the government's responsibility to protect children from harm. It is always the parents' responsibility. To which I say to these people every time, do you think child pornography should be illegal? I hope so. I hope you would agree that the government should stop pedophiles from abusing children. That the government should seek to take down, destroy any sort of entity or business related to the abuse of children. I doubt there's a single person in the country that's like, well, that's the parents' responsibility. And once you accept that, you realize that there is some place in society for the government to remove harms that would be very difficult for an individual to be able to combat or remove, especially in an organized kind of way, an enterprise like that. They exist and they're terrible and evil. And once you accept that, it then becomes a question of how many things and how much is the government meant to be involved in the private lives of citizens. And this is a very on the borderline kind of case for me because this stuff is harmful. I don't think, a 12-year-old should be playing GTA Online. I think social media, as toxic as it has become, is harmful to kids.
Do you think this is a case of needing the ID verification for GTA 6, which is why they ceased the casino in online?
With this change, I think some regions, yes, will require age verification for GTA 6.
Even if they put an age restriction technology, they will get around it, example using their parents' SID.
This argument is never good. At no point in time is saying in response to a regulation, people will get around it ever a good argument, because that's always the case. The example used is, hey, murderers still murder. Sometimes people murder people and they don't get caught. Some people get around the controls in place in society and get away with murder. Well, guess murder shouldn't be illegal then. No regulation that ever exists will stop everyone. But let's say, for example, I wanted to stop people from eating Subway, and so I put a spike pit around that Subway. Yeah, some people could jump the spike pit, but some people won't be able to, and other people won't want to take the risk. When it comes to making things illegal, some people will not do that thing simply because it's illegal. It could be a yellow tape that literally anyone could break and go through. Some people will not do it simply because that tape is there. The purpose of regulations is not to entirely stop something, because that's impossible. It's to make something harder so less people do it. When it comes to using VPNs, in most cases, it will be easier to simply give this information if you have it. And so most people will do that. They just won't care. It's also important to remember that gaming is a competitive marketplace. So there'll be some people who meet that barrier of age verification, who are under the age of 18, and they will go, oh, I could look up online and figure out a way to get around this, or I could use X, Y, and Z, things for my parents, if they'll let me. I could download something, figure out how to use VPNs. Do I have the money for a VPN? All these questions that go in their head, and they're big, like, oh, I could play Fortnite. I'm going to play Fortnite. So I say down here, effectively every game involves some aspect of chance-based rewards, and surprisingly, GTA Online has very little of this form of reward system compared to many other games. I don't necessarily buy the arguments that if the chance-based game looks more like real-life gambling, that it's more of a problem. Like if everything in this casino was replaced with apples and oranges rather than cards, I don't think that'd be better, necessarily. I hope this removal is just temporary and Rockstar, or the platform hosting GTA Online, implements some sort of age verification to allow adults access again to the features of the fictional casino. I can understand their need to comply with the laws of my country, so I don't really blame them for this change. It, however, doesn't require them to negatively impact adult gamer experiences. To be clear, I hope people aren't blaming Rockstar for this. Given that Rockstar put this stuff into the game in the first place, given that Rockstar, despite now 56 countries requiring it to be disabled, that they still allow some countries to have it, clearly they're okay with this stuff and would have it available in every country if they could. There has been a lot of discussion lately around GTA 6's marketing, with many fans saying it hasn't been nearly as exciting as Red Dead Redemption 2's. People point out that Red Dead Redemption 2 had a much more consistent marketing cycle, with regular screenshot drops, teaser images, press previews, and new information leading right up to launch. In comparison, GTA 6 has had huge marketing droughts between major announcements, despite the game now being less than 4 months away. What do you think? Because I wasn't as invested in Red Dead Redemption 2 and I wasn't really around for GTA 5, I don't really have much of a comparison. So I'm just taking these people at their word. But I mean, Strauss Zelnick always said that they wanted to advertise close to the launch of the game. And so I have to assume maybe the months leading up to it, there's going to be more. But I mean, we did get a lot of stuff, like a lot of images. Yeah, I think there's way more to come. I'm not disappointed currently. Rockstar has announced in their latest newswire that the Panther statue will be returning to GTA Online in one of the upcoming event weeks. This will once again give players the chance to steal the highest primary target available in the Cayo Perico heist. How much is it worth now after the nerfs? Oh, still the same? So they nerfed just the regular stuff, but the event is still going to be special. Maybe that's their way of apologizing, like, we're sorry, here's a Panther statue. Tom Henderson, a prominent video game journalist and insider, has predicted that the next GTA 6 trailer will release on August 6th, one day before Take-Two's investor call. This is purely an educated guess rather than insider information. Interestingly, back in February, he also predicted that Rockstar wouldn't release another trailer until August, and now it looks like he may have been right. I mean, they did do the pre-order trailer thing, that 30 seconds. And the box art, which wasn't really a trailer, right? But it was a bit of media. I mean, at this point, only being 4 months out, you've got like a 1 in 3 chance, right? Because it's not going to be 1 month away from the game. I think August is a good guess. I hope it comes out on the 6th. That'd be great. FiveM Enhanced has now officially entered early access and is available to download on PC through the FiveM website. One of the biggest changes is the new launcher. FiveM now opens in a separate launcher window where you can browse and select the server. Once you choose one, it will then launch GTA 5 automatically, making the whole process much more streamlined and faster than before. It's a bit like Roblox, because I have a lot of experience with Roblox, because that one time I played it for like 5 minutes. Dan Houser, Rockstar Games co-founder and former writer, has commented on PlayStation's plan to end physical disc production. He said he loves physical media, thinks everyone does, and believes that if people want it, companies should continue to provide it. He was also asked what it feels like seeing GTA 6 released from the outside this time round. He said that it feels fine and that he's not super engaged with it anymore, and he's sure the game is going to be great for Rockstar. That's not a surprising take, really. I mean, anyone who grew up with physical media is gonna like physical media, right? I wonder what it's gonna be like though, the newer generations, to what degree do they care about physical media? Or like, let's say, 10 years from now, are people going to be like, man, I can't believe I can't get PlayStation discs anymore? Or it's just going to become the norm and accepted? I will say though, I had like almost an emotional reaction when I walked into that gaming store recently, and there was an entire room dedicated to physical media. All the old consoles from when I was growing up, consoles that were just before that. It was so beautiful. It was like just a wall of every PlayStation 2 game. And for people who have spent their lives making those collections and expected to continue to make them for the rest of their lives, can you imagine how devastated they'd be right now? Like, there's never going to be a wall of every PlayStation 6 game. The UK union IWGB recently held a meeting with Rockstar Games' management team and confirmed that discussions surrounding union recognition are progressing well. The union is currently pushing for more flexible working arrangements so employees can work from home again, protection against the use of AI, a commitment to no layoffs, an end to crunch, and greater pay transparency. I mean, according to Rockstar, the crunch culture is already gone, but I guess the union does not agree. A mod called DryXIO GTA has created a mod that lets you travel between GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas through portals with a release planned soon. Does he have the death date for this mod also planned when Rockstar kicks him in the teeth? He also shared some interesting technical details about how it works. All 3 games run inside the same process, and walking through a portal simply swaps which game engine has control, while the other 2 continue running in the background. Bullets can travel through portals and hit NPCs or vehicles in another game. This is a seriously impressive technical achievement. It is. I wish Rockstar would just hire this person. Yeah, it's gonna make portals. I would like to think that if a person's able to do stuff like this, even if Rockstar won't acknowledge this or, pay them, get them a job, this person will be fine. They must, have tons of job opportunities. Fandom has now responded to the recent plagiarism allegations made by GTA Wiki. They say that after initially investigating the claims, they did not identify evidence of plagiarism. However, after conducting a second review prompted by new information, they have now terminated their relationship with the contributor responsible. Overall, this is pretty scummy. It seems like action was only taken after the public backlash, and personally, I'd still encourage people to avoid using Fandom. Get yourself the Indie Wiki Buddy extension. It will point you to the actual wikis that are updated by real people, not a scummy Fandom company who just steals people's stuff. I also do not believe Fandom for a moment. I am sure they were like, what are these GTA Wiki people gonna do? Let's just steal their stuff. And they either didn't look into it or didn't care even when they found out that there was plagiarism. But now, like, there's been public backlash. They're kicking out this one person as like a scapegoat. I don't believe him for a second. Fandom is so scummy.